I'm Rob.
And I'm Nate.
And welcome back to Rob and Nate Record a Podcast. This is week 4 of our mystery pack, or mystery month, where we replicate a mystery pack. Yeah, Nate, why don't you tell them what we're watching?
So
and why?
Okay, so to wrap up this month on a high point.
Spirit of the mystery pack.
So it is because it's not something I would have chosen. It was not chosen by me. It was chosen by my niece and nephew. So several months back when I was in Boise, my niece and nephew recommended that we should watch Birdemic for the podcast. So
do you happen to know if they liked this movie?
My question for Brenna and Jackson is, why were you watching Birdemic? Like, I want to know the story of how you were aware of Birdemic, and why you hate me and wanted me to watch it.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah.
No, I can totally see why they wanted us to watch it, because it's a thing.
Yeah. Quick plot overview. A horde of mutated birds descends upon the quiet town of Half Moon Bay, California. With the death toll rising, 2 citizens manage to fight back, but will they survive Birdemic? This movie features Alan Baugh as Rod and Whitney Moore as Natalie. It also has Janae Castor, Colton Osborne. Yeah, none of these are actually names that you're going to know. So
and
I'm just going to...
Really, none of them are actors.
And we have Stephen Gustafson as the tree hugger.
Ah.
Yeah, this movie was directed by James Nguyen.
Okay.
Also written by him. What other introduction do you want to give to this film?
So I was aware of Birdemic even before family mentioned it to me, because it's just a famously bad movie. And that it is a variation on the birds. And you told me there was another film that inspired this.
The Inconvenient Truth. Or An Inconvenient Truth.
The Al Gore environmental documentary. This film was evidently shot in around 2008, because when they go to the Pumpkin Festival, it says it's 2008. But it was released in 2010. It's extremely low budget. It's guerrilla filmmaking.
It took the director 4 years to make this.
4 years to... Okay, so this was shot over a lot of years. Rob, you did looking into it, so we'll obviously get into some of the trivia and things that you discovered. What did you think of it? What do you make of this thing?
It's awful.
Yeah.
The sound is terrible.
Oh, the sound is really bad.
Yeah, throughout. And it's clear they're using multiple microphones, but the microphones are not even remotely adjusted close to each other, and they completely cut out the audio between microphones for no real explicable reason. You have to connect the dots and assume that the sound was worse, and that's why they decided no audio was better than any audio.
There are portions of dialogue you cannot hear.
No, not at all. Yeah, and then there's other editing issues. This movie, jumping ahead a little bit, was made for a budget of $10,000.
All right.
That's probably the only positive thing you can say for it.
It's a mess of a film. It has the least passionate leading man I've ever seen.
He's terrible.
He is...
Natalie, played by Whitney Moore, actually seems like an okay actress.
Yeah, she's okay. She's the best. She's the best thing in this film.
Yes.
But Alan Baugh is just Baugh. There's no conviction. Like, he doesn't even try to emote. He just says lines of dialogue. And
the time that passes in the course of this film is ridiculous. Like, there is a point at which, there's a lot of things that are ridiculous. So he's at work one day and he's a sales rep for a software company or something, and he has a customer on the line, and he tells them, what is it going to take to make this deal? And he listens for 2 seconds, and he goes, fine, we'll do it, and we'll give you 50% off.
Yeah. And it's just generic business e-talk.
Yeah.
Nothing means anything.
But so then his company gets bought by Oracle for $1 billion. All of them get stock options, and in a matter of 2 weeks, the company is sold. His stock options are fully vested. He's left the company and created a startup that's getting $10 million in funding for his green tech startup. It tells us in the movie that it's a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
then the Birdemic hits.
And then the Birdemic hits. So this film is kind of a romance. It's like the blandest romance. And that goes on for a while until they get to the hotel room to do their business after they've decided they're committed
The disgustingly filthy hotel room.
Yeah.
Where when they actually get into the bed, you can see the soles of their feet, and they're like black. It was gross.
And then it just becomes this...
And then the mattress didn't have sheets.
Yeah, and then it just becomes a different type of crappy than it was before. I'm going to circle back around. Remember the very opening of this film? Where he's driving forever.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have...
And the camera's on a terrible angle.
The camera's on a terrible angle, and then they have the cast and the title credits.
Yeah.
And it's the blandest font that you can imagine. And it says casts. Like
Yes.
It has more than one. It's set...
Well, that actually is true because so many people quit.
Oh, yeah? So they have multiple casts. We were talking about the audio quality. The film stock quality is horrible.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. At first, I thought there might have been some form of intention to make it look older.
Well, I thought it's like it was, recorded on a 1993 RCA camcorder. I mean, it was it's bad, but there is fluctuations in the audio quality and the other qualities.
Yeah.
The meet cute at the beginning, where he goes into the restaurant
and then
doesn't order anything,
and then
he's got that weird waitress who's obviously English is not her first language. It's just odd, and just sees this girl and follows her out, and they have this conversation, and says, "Oh, I went to high school with you. We were in English class,
and I sat 2 seats behind you."
High school's 4 years. Which year did you have English class with her? And then after establishing they went to the same high school, he asked her if you're from here. Are you from around here? It's like, well, yeah, I went to the local high school with you.
Yeah.
Just the random stuff that I wrote down. So he's watching this bizarre, InfoWars is better financed graphically, this newscast, which he watches on a computer monitor set up in his kitchen.
Which computer monitor they also take to the hotel and are watching in the hotel.
We learned that polar bears eat seagulls, and they're running out of seagulls because of global warming. The girlfriend gets a contract to model for Victoria's Secret at the same time that he gets his $500,000 $1 million deal. And they start dating, but they take it slow because they don't get to their hotel room time.
Till day 2 or 3.
An unspecified amount of time.
It still had to be in that less than 2 week window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they go to that Irish pub and they dance to Hangin' With My Family by Damien Carter, also known as Just Hanging Out, which I want to be my ringtone now.
Yeah.
That song is awesome.
And by awesome, you mean not awesome.
Yes. Everything about this film is awesomely unawesome. The seagulls attack, or they're mostly hawks. They look like there's something out of a crappy arcade game from 1994. They basically spend the second half of this movie, and that first half of that movie is just such dry, boring romance. Do I need to see the screenplay? What's with the structure of this film? But the second half is mostly they just drive from place to place. They encounter people that lecture them, including the bird scientist and the guy that lives in the tree.
Yeah.
And then they travel some more, and then they need to get more water and loot things from gas stations. And then they shoot at birds, and they're with...
Terribly.
Becky and...
Ramsey,
yeah. Ramsey is an Iraq war vet, and he was tired of killing in Iraq, but he never gets tired of killing birds in California.
And he's using an airsoft rifle as a fully automatic AR-15 in California.
And he
doesn't work.
Yeah, he sacrifices himself to save some people, but he unfortunately also sacrifices those people.
Yes.
That they got off the bus. They're like, we don't want to leave the bus.
Secure. Yeah.
It's like, well, they were right.
Yeah.
And then this movie says Tippi Hedren's in it, in footage taken from
It's supposed to be archive footage from. Hold on, give me one sec. Archive footage from Julie and Jack, which is also a movie that James Nguyen. It's one of his credits.
I don't recall seeing her in this.
The movie was on the TV.
Oh, it was on the TV.
Yes.
In the
background in multiple scenes. Yeah.
Tippy can sue, right?
No, because they credited her.
Oh, they credited her.
So by crediting her, they avoid the lawsuit.
This was just awful and bland, but in a way, kind of endearing. Like once you got into the,
No, it's not endearing.
I was enjoying how bad it was.
Velocipaster was exponentially better than this.
Yeah. See,
And Lamageddon is exponentially better than this. How can you appreciate this movie and not have finished Lamageddon?
I don't know.
You now must finish Lamageddon as penance.
I was in the mood. Honestly, from the 10 minutes I saw of Lamageddon, I enjoyed this more.
You can't say that until you finish Lamageddon.
No. This was there was something special about this movie, Rob. This movie has been called one of the great bad films, and I can see why. I mean, it is just atrocious, and this ties into the problems we had getting this movie to play. It took you like 20 minutes.
Oh, my heavens. This movie is terribly difficult to find. Well, not terribly difficult to find, but to actually get it to play is very difficult. And it did take us like 10 minutes or more to get this to play on the TV.
And it's a good metaphor for what this film was, which is this strange combination of effort and non-effort.
I was in a bad mood when this movie started because it was so difficult to get this to play. Are we ready for some of the trivia?
Sure.
So this is coming from the trivia section on IMDb, and there's a lot of good trivia, so we're going to be reading this for a little bit.
And I have avoided information on this.
Yes.
It's going to be new stuff to me.
Due to the film's limited budget, director James Nguyen was unable to hire a full-time film crew. As such, cast members performed the tasks that a crew typically would. In an effort to make the film appear more professional, Nguyen made up names for crew members that appear in the credits.
Yes.
This is might be the most endearing thing about this movie that I've heard so far. After the Sundance Film Festival rejected the film, James Nguyen put banners, fake blood, and fake birds all over his van, then drove around to advertise the film. Eventually, he caught the attention of Severin Films, which distributed the film. Lead actress Whitney Moore took over the job of makeup artist after the first two makeup artists who were hired quit after the first 2 weeks of filming.
Okay.
James Nguyen spent 4 years making this movie.
Wow.
When advertising for the movie title was painted onto the side of a truck, which initially spelled it wrong, and it read Birdemic.
Birdemic. That should be the name of the film about the making of Birdemic.
There you go. While filming their respective love scenes, Whitney Moore, who plays Natalie, and Mona Lisa Moon, Mai, wear bikinis. Do you know why?
Why?
Any guesses why?
Okay, no.
James Nguyen purportedly had the actresses wear bikinis as he did not want them to actually have sex with their male co-stars.
Oh, well, yeah. You need to take precautions.
Yeah. And that's the best way to take precautions.
That's his reasoning.
Because the guys didn't take their clothes off in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were going to, yeah.
You never know, Rob. You gotta be careful.
Okay. This next item of trivia will also tell you a lot about the quality of this film. Are you ready?
Okay.
Whitney Moore auditioned for the role of Natalie in a high school parking lot. An hour after the audition, James Nguyen called Moore to tell her she got the role. In a subsequent interview, after Birdemic was released, Moore joked that should have been a red flag. Moore also said that the month she worked on the film was a miserable experience. Despite this, Moore reprised her role as Natalie in the 2013 sequel, Bird 2: The Resurrection.
That's a must now.
Tippi Hedren gets the third billing in the end credits. For footage from Julie and Jack, she is only briefly seen on a muted TV in the background during a motel scene approximately 45 minutes into the film. Yeah.
It's crazy how much of this film was before the Birdemic.
James Nguyen was inspired by The Birds, 1963, and An Inconvenient Truth, 2006, as we've previously mentioned. This is one that you'll now appreciate. You remember what was on her shirt and on the wall?
Yes.
The website imaginepeace.com, which is plugged throughout the film, is Yoko Ono's website.
Ah. Wow, so that's okay.
Yep. This film was shot in various locations without permits. And any guesses as to who provided craft services for this film?
McDonald's?
7-Eleven.
The noted Hollywood caterer.
Yeah. The use of coat hangers as weapons against the birds was a last-minute decision made by the writer-director James Nguyen.
What do we got that they can use to fight the birds?
Yeah. In the commentary, which might have been a better way to watch this movie, Whitney Moore said that they did not get permits to film at specific locations, instead just showing up and sometimes getting kicked out. She said that at one point they were filming on a public jogging trail, which is that trail that they go where they go to get the water towards the end. And James Nguyen started yelling at joggers who were getting in the shot. Moore told him not to yell at people who were not associated with the film, and he responded to by refusing to talk to her for 3 weeks. Remember this shot, her role in the movie was 4 weeks.
Yeah.
He gave her direction using her co-star Alan Baugh as intermediary.
Wow.
The van in the movie that they're driving around.
Ugly.
Yeah.
1990-ish.
It is a 1989 Ford Aerostar Wagon XL that the director bought for $300.
Indeed. And you know what? It's worth every penny.
Yeah. The web series VFX Crew Reacts to Bad and Great CGI did a segment where they added better bird CGI and gun effects to a couple of the scenes. They also brought in co-star Whitney Moore to film new footage. That might have been a better thing to watch.
Yeah.
The film was produced on a budget of $10,000, as I previously mentioned, but the distributors have spent more on marketing than it cost to produce the film and purchase the rights.
Wow.
The character Rod is patterned after writer-director James Nguyen, and his name was inspired by Rod Taylor.
Ah, so that's clever.
The music score, so Natalie's photo shoot at the 1 hour photo.
Yeah.
The music.
It was kind of neat to see a 1 hour photo again.
Yeah. The music that's playing during her photo shoot imitates a flock of seagulls wishing.
Oh. And had they had some budget, there would have been some Flock of Seagulls music in this movie.
So the blue Ford Mustang at the beginning of this movie, the actor Alan Baugh rented that vehicle, and I told you it was rental.
Yeah,
as
you
soon
can
as
see
I saw
like
it.
the rental something on it.
That his character Rod drives during the film. Despite Rod claiming that the Mustang is a plug-in hybrid, the S197 model is a non-hybrid.
You just claim something,
Yeah.
and then it is.
Following the release of this film, Alan Baugh was in an episode of the television show Parks and Recreation. The title of that episode was Eagleton.
You know, I was going to say that early on when they're on their date at the Vietnamese restaurant and they're getting to know each other, and he talks about how he watched a lot of football, mostly San Francisco 49ers, but he's a part-time Eagle fan.
Yeah.
That's foreshadowing because most of the time Eagles,
It's like
were
Golden
attacking
Eagles.
him.
Yeah.
And, he was not a fan of those Eagles.
Some of the stock music used in this movie is also used in Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven.
Okay.
Becky, you remember Becky?
I remember Becky.
Her abrupt death
Okay. Because she quit?
was added because Catherine Betcha had to leave the production to attend acting school in New York.
She got the order mixed up.
Yeah, this movie is something special, and I don't mean that in a very positive way.
So when you say
There's
special,
apparently-
you mean remedial.
Yes. There's apparently a second sequel. Apparently there's a Birdemic 3.
Oh, there's a
but I didn't
Birdemic trilogy.
Yeah, but I haven't seen... I mean, I clicked on Birdemic 2 because I was curious. I saw that there was a Birdemic 3, but it's... it must be done by someone else. It's not listed under James Nguyen's credits, so...
They need to do a Birdemic 4, and it should be set in space. Because all good horror franchises eventually end up there.
Okay. Yeah.
And by good, I mean bad.
We might have to steal a segment from another podcast here in just a minute if I can find the right thing.
I know where you're going with this. And
I
if ever
figured you'd figure it
there
out.
was one that was appropriate,
To steal it from?
yeah.
Or to steal it for.
And they may very well have done this movie at some point. I'd be surprised if they haven't.
Where do I get to the reviews?
This is
We're going to steal the second opinion segment.
from How Did This Get Made?
Which...
They watch bad movies and then they read the 5-star reviews off of Amazon.
But I have to, I'm not going to sing it because I'm not a great singer. But I'm going to steal the tagline from how they introduced this segment, which they called the segment Second Opinions. And it's introduced with a song which says, "This movie was a piece of shit, but this person recommends it. Art is objective." So...
Subjective.
Yes, art is subjective. Anyways, and it continues on. These are pulled from Amazon, 5-star reviews of this movie. This one is from someone named Kevin Mers. "This cinematic marvel is beyond the shadow of a doubt the most impeccable example of pristine quality expressed through sheer passion and finesse to ever grace the comparably bland industry of film in its entirety. This movie gave me more chills than any action film could possibly provide. I cried more in this movie than the entirety of other films that dare to attempt to manipulate your emotions. For example, the cowboy character who they meet on the side of the road for what? A minute and a half?
Yeah.
Who was a short-lived but outstanding part of the film when a screeching eagle terrifyingly swooped from above and slit his throat mercilessly. I cried more than when I saw Will Smith strangle his dog in I Am Legend." The raw thrill and emotion that courses through every inch of your body as this movie permeates you with raw quality content is more than many can take, and I'm proud to have experienced this opus. No other movie could possibly compare.
I don't like that review because he's obviously trolling.
Yes.
It's funny when it's sincere. That was not sincere.
I'm going to try and find a better one that's more sincere. I think all of these are trolling. This one might be a little bit better. "Hooray for cheesy films. Hooray for cheesy films that make you think you can make even better cheesy films. Birdemic is like what Ellen said. It's like if Alfred Hitchcock's Birds was actually written by birds. This movie ranks with The Room as some of the 21st century's best worst movies you love to watch with friends while a little bit tipsy or baked. Whip out your wire hangers and don't let the Birdemic on your car, bros. This is one of the best worst movies out there you could watch.
No more wire hangers.
Possibly the worst piece of cinematography in the world. Watch it anyways. This movie is quite possibly the worst movie I've ever seen, and I have seen some bad movies. The acting is atrocious, the CGI looks like it was done by a third grader, and the videography is right about the same. You don't even get into the main storyline until the halfway mark. Just some bizarre backstory that doesn't even matter in the long run, and the ending is lackluster and confusing. I'm glad it's included in my Prime membership. It is not included in your Prime membership.
Well, not anymore.
Because there's no way I would pay for this. Nate made me pay for this tonight, and there's going to be some penance at this. Every scene is so predictable you could honestly watch it in your sleep. There's a strange amount of global warming education in it, which was unexpected. And much of their global warming stuff was not accurate. That being said, like polar bears eat seagulls, not accurate. That being said, go watch this movie right now. It's something you will never forget, and it's worth watching once. Great for when you just need something to watch while you waste an hour and a half, or when you feel the need to be confused perpetually. I don't know why this movie was ever produced, but you may as well watch it.
And I actually think there is a point to the first half of the film.
Okay.
Because you said the director modeled Rod off of himself.
Okay.
So he is putting his fantasy on film.
Okay.
He wants to be a good salesman and to make all this money and to have the beautiful girlfriend. So that this is projection. It's just his fantasy.
And he wants to drive a plug-in hybrid.
He does.
Mustang that was rented by someone else.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't? Who doesn't, Rob?
In case you couldn't tell, I really did not like this movie. Nate has some level of fondness for this.
I have a fondness for it. I kind of enjoyed it.
Which makes me wonder how Nate's going to rate this movie.
That's going to be a bit of a challenge. It is objectively, it is one of the worst things I've ever seen. I kind of liked it. I don't know. It's like it's a 1 star, but it's also 2 star. So I guess I feel like it'd be wrong not to give it a 1 star rating.
At least, okay. I was worried for a minute. Yeah.
And at the 10 scale, I probably would give it 2.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3.
I got to look at what I gave the Star Wars Christmas special, because this is worse than the Star Wars Christmas special. I'd rather watch the Star Wars Christmas special than watch this again.
I could watch this movie again.
I know you could. That's part of what scares me.
Yeah.
We should have been at your house, and you should have been the one that rented this, and then you could have rewatched it or watched the commentary. Or
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think I'll be watching some YouTube Birdemic content in the near future.
And I'm sure it will make an appearance in a future episode of this podcast, because if it's as good as I anticipate some of it might be, it's going to be worth revisiting. I'm giving this 1 on the... Can you give it less than 1 on the 4-star scale?
It's up to you.
I mean, I don't think you actually could give it less than 1 on the 4-star scale. I don't know whether to give it a 1 or a 2 on the 10-star scale. It's in there. Its aggregate score on IMDb is 1.8 stars. Did you look up anything on Rotten Tomatoes about it?
Oh, it's 18% on Rotten Tomato.
Yeah, so right in the same range. It's not a good movie.
That Amazon reviewer, though, is right. It's worth seeing once, because it's just such a memorably bad movie. There's something entertaining about the fact that this exists. I guess maybe that's what I'm getting at. I'm amused that this is a movie.
The only thing that I will take from this is then when someone brings it up, I can continue to badmouth it. I would not recommend this to anyone. I would not. Even if you could find it for all people. If you could find it free somewhere, I'm not even sure I'd recommend you watch it.
Definitely see it.
Only if you can get it for free. Don't pay money for it.
Charge it to Rob.
Nate already did. All right. Anything else?
Well, we need to rank our movies.
Oh, our for the mystery pack.
So our movies for this month were in order of viewing: The Life Before Her Eyes from 2007, Independence Day from 1996, For the Love of the Game 1999, and Birdemic 2010.
How are you going to rate these?
I think we're going to rate them the same. I think we're going to rank them the same. The best was Independence Day, followed by For the Love of the Game, then The Life Before Her Eyes, then Birdemic.
Yep, you're right. We are going to rank them the same.
This is quite the month when Independence Day was the best movie.
I mean, it holds up. It's an okay movie.
It does.
Like, it's still a decent movie. I still enjoyed watching that.
That is to many people what a good bad movie is. And then Birdemic
is just bad.
Is that on steroids?
So I guess let me clarify something. So evidently James Nguyen is involved in Birdemic 3, which is called Sea Eagle. Has a different star who does not have any more credits to her name.
Unlike the previous film, she was hired out of a junior college parking lot.
Birdemic 2, The Resurrection. A platoon of eagles and vultures attack Hollywood, California. Why did the eagles and vultures attack, and who will survive? Still features Alan Baugh and Whitney Moore.
Okay.
So you got both of them back for that. It has a lower rating on IMDb.
Oh, wow.
Than this did.
It lacks the charm of the original.
And had a $300,000 budget.
Wow.
So basically he got money after this one, the first one sold. And he was able to have enough money to do everything, I'm guessing, that he wanted to do wrong on the first one, wrong on the second one. Any other thoughts on this, Nate?
This is a good movie for when you're just hanging out with Damian Carter and the family.
Wait, what about the kids? Whatever
happened
to the kids?
So they encounter these two kids, one of which is...
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, so this kid...
So they stop on the side of the road where some cars have been found, where they come across some cars, and there's people that are obviously dead, and they want to check for survivors. and they find a girl who has jumped out of the van where the rest of her family's been killed and is hiding under the car. And Ramsey gets her out from underneath the car, and Rod is by another vehicle and hears someone thumping on the trunk. Moves a dead guy away from the trunk of the car, releases the trunk from inside the car, and out of the trunk comes a small boy.
Yep.
Why was the boy in the trunk of the car?
I know. I think the implication is that the guy on the other side put him in there to keep him safe. But we prefer to imagine that he was a victim of an unrelated kidnapping story.
Yeah. And his kidnapper was killed by the birds.
And after this most traumatic imaginable experiences in the life of two children, within a very short distance, they are both angry that they're not getting Happy Meals.
Yep.
They adjust pretty dang well.
Well, and then they continue to run around with our leads, with Rod and Natalie, as Ramsey and Becky are killed.
Yeah. They become a family, a little instant family.
Yeah, while they're fishing on the beach, and he has to go get the stove.
They keep making these weird decisions to
and
go outside and picnic. Like, more than once. It's like, not during bird attacks.
Yeah.
Eat the freaking car.
Yeah. Anyways.
And I was going to ask you, so if you had to choose, having experienced both, Birdemic or Pandemic?
What do you mean, rewatch Birdemic or continue to experience the pandemic?
Rewatch Birdemic or relive the pandemic. Those are your options.
I mean, I have a nice house and I have a loving wife, and so the pandemic was not as challenging for me as it is for some other people. So, I mean, other than the fact that it actually has lasted years,
Yeah.
whereas Birdemic was an hour and 40 some odd minutes. That's a tough call, Nate.
You know, I don't think it's a tough call. Nobody actually died in Birdemic.
Well, I'm Rob.
I'm Nate.
And this is Rob and Nate Record a Podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Nate.
And welcome back to Rob and Nate Record a Podcast. Yeah, never mind. I forgot what quip I had. I'd had a quip for the introduction, and I forgot it.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
You were ill-equipped.
We're off to a great start. How did we record for more than 30 minutes about this movie?
I know. I feel like it would have been a different experience if we had come in kind of more prepped and kind of made it a little bit more formal.
Uh-huh.
I was just kind of stupefied by it. I didn't quite know how to go about talking about it. It's just
I don't know that there's any way to do it other than to be stupefied.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look up some other podcasts and see if others have reviewed this.
Oh, I bet there's some great material on this out there online.
Let's check my podcast host.
And just seeing that trailer of Birdemic 2 that was on the screen as you were loading it, just the quality of the film, so much better.
Well, he had $300,000.
Yeah, it's like
he had 30 times the budget.
Birdemic 2 looks like a movie. Birdemic 1 does not.
Yeah, we'll have to look up more on this later. I can't believe you made me rent this.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to make him rent a movie he's going to hate. It's going to be great.
My Amazon rental history is now stained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
okay. It's not the first movie that we've rented that has stained my history. But this might be the worst. Maybe
you shouldn't be thinking about getting revenge on me. Maybe it's my revenge on you for things that you've shown me. Maybe that's what this is.
If that's the case, you took it too far.
Uh-huh.
You've more than made up for Critter's Attack and what was the other one? The Christmas one?
Oh, Mixed Nuts.
Yeah. So you've gotten... You're beyond vengeance.
Into sadism.
I genuinely now need to return the favor. Except I don't think I want to subject myself to anything that bad. Although now I'm mildly intrigued by Birdemic 2.
Yeah.
But it has a lower score. Like, I might just watch trailers for it.
Yeah. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When an eel bites your hand and that's not what you planned, that's amore. When our habits are strange and our customs deranged, that's amores. When your horse chews dried grass and then begs for more, alas, that's some more hay. When your sheep go to graze in a damp, marshy place, that's amore.
Where's our advertisement?
In lieu thereof.
It's some music. Where did you find that?
Oh, online.
That was probably better than the movie. I might make that the intro.
Yeah. Waveform.
Testing. Give me a quick level.
Yeah.
Okay. A part of my soul died in Birdemic.
Okay.